All right, welcome back. Today we've got a super fun one. I'm calling the Adams and Eve because of Adam and Eve. We use some great materials here to tie both the Adams and then the second fly that I'm calling the Eve. For the Adams, we're starting with some black thread and starting about a quarter way down the shank, winding back towards the hook side. This is some 6/0 black thread, and I'm trying to tie this in a pretty traditional Adams form, but using a little bit of some unique materials to pull it off. I think it turned out really, really good, and I think the Eve one did as well. So at the end, we'll have a vote if you like the Adams better or the Eve better. All right, so this is some gold yellow plumage, and this breaks the mold a little bit on traditional Adams, but I think it provides the same effect. So again, tying this probably about a half hook length, again, beyond the back side of this to form that tail side, and a few attaching loops, trying to keep it somewhat centered on there. And then once you're happy with its position, you can wrap it down a little tighter. You won't need the front part of this particular feather, and so you can trim off the excess on the front side of that, and then you can begin to wind the thread back to cover up that exposed part. Leave the thread back towards the front side of the hook, and this is some Guinea plumage for the wings. And again, this would be a little bit of a stray from the traditional material, but it provided the same effect. And so about halfway down, you'll cause a break into the feather itself, and once you're happy with the length of it, you can begin to decide when you're going to attach it onto the front side of that hook. Keeping it a little bit separated again with the natural curve of those feathers branching away from each other. A few soft loops, and I had to do this a couple times to really get it to stay where I wanted. You can adjust it a number of times, unwind and rewind until you're happy with where it is. Don't worry about it standing straight up because we'll put some loops in front of this to get the wings to stand up how they should. Pulling them back, again, some wraps in front of that to get these to stand up away from the hook itself. Once you're happy with their position, you can grab the back part of those and trim them off, as you won't need those portions for the wings. I hope you're enjoying these videos as much as I am. Please be sure to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the videos that are coming out. Let me know down below some things that you're tying these days, and maybe some tips or tricks you've learned tying, whether it's the Adams or any fly that have been producing maybe where you live with catching fish. You can begin to put a few more loops on here. I put one in a kind of a figure 8 pattern to spread the wings apart to give them a nice lay. Once you're happy with it, you can wind the thread back towards the hook side of this to get ready for the dubbing. I wet the thread with a little bit of spit, and this is some Adams gray dubbing. This fly is so popular they have a dubbing named after it, and so Adams gray, it's a super fine, and you'll wind this again starting back towards the tail side, all the way back up to those wings, trying to keep it fairly even as you go up, and building that body from the tail to the back side of the wings. All right, this is some Rooster Hackle, and you can grab this and begin to attach it to the right side, I guess, on my tying of this fly with I pulled some of the quills off of the feather itself to give it an attaching point, and you have to be a little bit ambidextrous. I wish I had 3 hands to both wrap this and hold it in position. Once you get it there, you can get some firmer loops attaching that both on the front and the back side of those feathers to really lock that in. Bring the thread back towards the front of this because you're going to use it to tie off the hackle once you're done. I trimmed off the tail of this hackle because we won't need that. And then you can either use your fingers, or I use some hackle pliers to begin to wind this feather a couple wraps behind the wing, and then all the other wraps of the hackle in front of the wing itself. Trying to get these prickly parts of the feather to really stand out and display nicely, fairly evenly and uniformly. A lot has to do with the feather, but also I found that how you wind it and trying to keep the feather from twisting on itself while you go around helps keep them fairly uniform as you wrap it. And again, you're trying to wrap back towards the eye part of this hook where you left your thread. And then once you're happy with the amount of hackle you've been able to wrap, you'll use that thread on the front part of it to tie off the rest of the feather you don't need. And again, I'm using my non-dominant hand here to get a few wraps on this before I release tension on the hackle itself. Then you can release the hackle pliers, or if you're just using your fingers, then put some good tight attaching loops on the finished side of that hackle before you trim it off with some scissors. Once you've trimmed off that piece of hackle with your scissors, you can put some final wraps on here, trying to keep those that hackle out of the way and pushing that stuff back. Make sure the wing displays correctly how you want it, and that the hackle's sitting how you want it before you grab your whip finisher and put some finishing loops on this. Again, trying to keep that eye clear of any material so that you can get some line through there when you go to fish this thing. Trimming off some of those stray hackle pieces so that it displays right and it's not crowding the eye too much. Grab the whip finisher and put 3 to 4 finishing loops, again right behind that eye, holding all that hackle in place and finishing the front part of this fly. Trim off the end of your thread, and there you have the Adams Dryfly. I think this is a great looking fly, and I can't wait to see some of yours as you tie them. Adams needs a partner, Eve, and so for the Eve fly, I use some white thread instead of black. I use the same Guinea plumage for the tail, and I try to do a few things that would be, I guess, Eve of nature for this particular fly. So white was a big one. I use the same wing material, the Guinea plumage. I thought it displayed pretty well on the Adams fly. So those two are the same, but I definitely used some different materials. This is some white dubbing, again, because I think it's a little bit more Evie, and use it to wrap for the body itself, going from the tail up towards the wings. And this is a green dyed Rooster Hackle. I thought it complemented the white a little bit better, and I think it gives this just a little bit of a special touch for this fly. It's also a little bit of a thinner feather, and so it's a little bit less hackle displaying itself, to give it a little bit less of a busier front for the Eve fly. Tied that off and trimmed the final part of that. Got some finishing loops in there, whipped finished it, and tried to get the wings to stand up as they should. Finish off the front part of this fly, again with that whip finisher and that white thread. And there's the Eve fly. So here's the real question. Which one do you like better? The traditional Adams or the Eve? Let me know in the comments down below. Happy tying, and I'll see you on the next one.